General Kane, when the Department of War was planning its operations in Iran, did you anticipate the closure of the Strait of Hormuz and the resulting impact on oil supplies for many countries, including here in the United States, where we've seen gas, diesel, and home heating oil prices go up? I ask this question because there's historic precedent, obviously, during the Iraq-Iran war. Tankers were fired upon in the Strait.
Whoa, okay, did you guys catch that? Welcome back to the channel, everyone. We just saw a quick clip of Senator Susan Collins absolutely taking the Department of Defense to task during this hearing. And I have to tell you, it is about time someone asked these questions. Look, I've been following the budget talks for a while now, and what Collins is doing here is exactly what we elect senators to do. She's not just talking about high-level strategy, she's connecting the dots between global instability in the Middle East and the price you're paying at the pump or to heat your home this winter. But more importantly, she's calling out some really confusing logic from the Pentagon regarding our Navy. I mean, how do you tell a room full of world-class shipbuilders in Maine that they're the best in the world, and then immediately cut their orders while sending billions overseas for foreign ships? It doesn't add up, and Collins isn't letting them slide. Before we dive into the full video and I give you my breakdown of why her argument is so vital for our national security, do me a huge favor. Hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell, and drop a comment below. Do you think we should be prioritizing American-made ships, or is the Pentagon right to look elsewhere? I want to hear from you. Let's get into the full clip.
Senator Collins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. General Kane, when the Department of War was planning its operations in Iran, did you anticipate the closure of the Strait of Hormuz and the resulting impact on oil supplies for many countries, including here in the United States, where we've seen gas, diesel, and home heating oil prices go up? I ask this question because there's historic precedent, obviously, during the Iraq-Iran war. Tankers were fired upon in the Strait.
Senator, thanks for the question. As always, we have an incredible staff over at the Pentagon and down at US CENTCOM. And we always look at the range of military branches and sequels. I won't comment on any particular one because that gets to whatever advice I may or may not have given to the president, and I do that in private. But you should rest assured, as should the American people, that we cover and consider the full range of things all the time in our careful consideration of military actions and the advice and/or options that we present our civilian leaders.
It seems to me that there's been a different plan almost daily with dealing with this problem, which is why I ask. Mr. Secretary, let me start by thanking you for visiting Bath Iron Works in the state of Maine. The workers were very pleased to greet you and hear your encouragement and praise. The Aegis destroyers play such a critical role in our national security, from intercepting Iranian missiles to supporting combat operations around the globe. While visiting Bath Iron Works, you correctly described the DDG destroyers as the workhorse of the fleet and emphasized maxing out on DDGs sends a message to the world. I was also delighted that you noted that Bath built is best built, a slogan of which we're very proud. I fully agree with all those sentiments. That's why I was alarmed to see that this year's budget request only includes funding for just one DDG 51. That's down from 2 in FY26 and 3 in FY25. That reduction to a single DDG 51 creates uncertainty for U.S. surface combatant industrial base at a time when BIW is demonstrating huge progress in workforce retention, production stability, and faster throughput. So there needs to be a steady demand signal for DDGs in order to keep the yard operating at all phases, from cutting the initial steel to completing the ship. So I'm puzzled by why only one DDG is requested and concerned about what that will mean as far as maintaining that workflow. I'm particularly puzzled by the decision in reconciliation to request $1.8 billion for foreign-born surface combatants at the same time that there's the proposed cut for American-built destroyers. Wouldn't providing a demand signal for U.S.-built DDGs from the department help the industry further increase the speed at which these ships are being produced? And I'm sure when you were at Bath, they probably showed you the chart of the enormous progress that they are making.
I appreciate the question, Senator, and it was a great visit, and it's incredible what they do. To both your questions, the answer is shipbuilding capacity. And that's why we invest, $65 billion in shipbuilding in our shipyards, is because the reason for our request of that number is the ability to build them and how quickly. And so as soon as that capacity is increased, which we anticipate this investment will do, then we look forward to ordering DDGs into the future, because they are the backbone of our naval fleet.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Man, you have to love the way Senator Collins handles herself in these hearings. It's calm, it's professional, but she is firm. There are 3 big reasons why she's 100% right here, and we need to talk about them. First, let's talk about the Strait of Hormuz. She brought up the Iran-Iraq war precedent, and she's spot on. When things get sideways in that part of the world, oil supplies get choked. The general gave a very Pentagon answer, lots of talk about branches and sequels and private advice, but Collins was pushing for accountability. She knows that if the Department of War doesn't have a clear, stable plan, the American consumer is the one who suffers. She's looking out for the folks in Maine and across the country who are already struggling with inflation. But the real mic drop moment for me was when she pivoted to the DDG-51 destroyers at Bath Iron Works. Think about the contradiction she exposed. The Secretary of Defense goes up to Maine, tells the workers Bath built is best built, which, let's be real, it is, and calls these ships the workhorse of the fleet. But then the budget comes out and they've slashed the request from 3 ships down to 1? As Collins pointed out, you can't just turn a shipyard like BIW on and off like a faucet. These are highly skilled jobs. You need a steady demand signal, as she put it. If the government stops ordering, the production line stalls, workers move on, and then when we really need those ships because of a crisis with China or Iran, we can't just snap our fingers and get them back. She's defending the industrial base, which is a fancy way of saying she's defending American jobs and our ability to actually defend ourselves. And finally, this is the part that really gets me. She called out that $1.8 billion for foreign-born surface combatants. I don't know about you, but I'm with Senator Collins on this one. Why on earth are we sending nearly $2 billion to foreign shipyards when we have the best shipbuilders in the world right here in the U.S. ready to work? The Secretary tried to blame capacity, but Collins countered that perfectly. The industry wants to increase speed, but they need the orders to justify the investment. It's a classic chicken and egg problem, and Collins is right to demand that the egg starts here at home. She showed today that she's the adult in the room, focusing on the nuts and bolts of national security while making sure Maine's economy isn't being left behind by some questionable accounting at the Pentagon. Senator Collins is proving that she can be pro-defense and pro-taxpayer at the same time by demanding efficiency and loyalty to American workers. We need more of this kind of oversight in Washington. What did you guys think of her foreign-born comment? Was she too tough or not tough enough? Let's keep the conversation going in the comments.